What's up, Chuckers? Producer Mike here. This is Served 5 Setter, your weekly roundup of all things racket sports. 5 stories in 10 minutes or less. But before we get into it, please hit subscribe on YouTube. Give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform so you can stay up on all things served. We really appreciate the love and support. That said, today is March 6th, 2026, and here's what we got for you. Ferrero talks split with Carlos, world number 1 gets her ring, the GOAT's magic sleeves, and the $1 million pickleball mystery. But first, we're starting today's show on a more serious note. Tennis is one of the most global sports in the world, with tournaments taking place across nearly every continent. But the global reach also means the tours can sometimes find themselves directly affected by events far beyond the court. This week, geopolitical tensions escalated dramatically in the Middle East when military strikes were launched by Israel and the United States against Iran. Iran retaliated by targeting several neighboring Gulf states, including the UAE, a country which happened to be hosting 2 ATP events. The ATP 500 in Dubai had just wrapped when the UAE suddenly closed its airspace, stranding roughly 40 players, coaches, officials, and media at the tournament hotel. That group included Daniil Medvedev, Andrei Rublev, Karen Khachanov, and several others who were all supposed to be heading straight to Indian Wells. Meanwhile, about an hour and a half down the coast at the Challenger event in Fujairah, things got even more dramatic. Play began on Monday as scheduled, but on Tuesday, sirens went off in the middle of matches and play was immediately suspended. Both Fujairah Challenger events were canceled shortly afterward, leaving a large contingent of people needing an immediate exit from the region. This prompted the ATP to send an email to players saying a charter flight was being arranged to evacuate players. However, there was a price, $5,000 a seat. Needless to say, that didn't go over very well. Fans and media immediately pushed back online, and within hours, the ATP reversed course and announced it would be covering the entire cost of the evacuation flight, saying in a statement, quote, "Accommodation and essential needs continue to be covered by the tournament, and a charter flight has been arranged and fully funded by the ATP to assist with departures from the region at no cost to the players." Some players have attempted to find their own routes out of the region, including 2-time Grand Slam doubles champion Harry Helovera, who documented his ordeal in a blog post, saying he and his doubles partner, along with their young families, attempted to drive several hours to the Oman border before complications forced them to turn around and return. The pair and their families eventually were able to coordinate flights out through Emirates. To check out his blog post, there is a link in the description as well as the newsletter. Meanwhile, Medvedev, Rublev, and Khachanov managed to leave earlier on a private flight routed through Oman, arriving at Indian Wells on Wednesday. Before recording today's show, we reached out to the ATP for an additional update. They told us nearly all players and personnel have now departed the region, with several leaving Thursday on a charter flight from Muscat, a charter flight that had nearly 90 seats reserved by the ATP. Not all of those seats were used, as some of the players had already made their own travel arrangements. A tour representative told us that they expect nearly everyone to be out of the region by the weekend. However, 2 players are still dealing with visa complications, and the ATP says it's working with them and local authorities to resolve those issues. They expect those situations to be sorted shortly, though the exact timing is still being worked through. It is a tense and ongoing situation, but fortunately one that appears to be moving towards a safe resolution for those people around the ATP. Now on to set number 2. Since the split between Carlos Alcaraz and Juan Carlos Ferrero back in December, the tennis world has been guessing what really happened. This week, Ferrero finally addressed the split publicly in an interview with the Spanish program. While he kept the tone respectful, Ferrero didn't hide that the breakup was emotional, admitting that the transition has been, quote, challenging, and that the decision for a new direction came from the Alcaraz camp, saying, quote, "Emotionally, I am well. It has been 3 months, and you have to move forward, but breakups are painful. I think it has been an important breakup after 7 years together and all the time we've invested together. It hurts. It's a shame after watching him play. In one way, you want him to do well, but on the other hand, it makes you sad that you're not there. I'm very well. I'm taking it well. I've had many offers from other players." The interviewer went on to ask how it feels that Sammy Lopez stayed on the Alcaraz team. Ferrero had this to say: "It is a complicated answer. I was the one who encouraged him to stay with Carlos. Why? Because I knew he would do an important job, and he knows Carlos well. Knows very well all the work that had been done with him over the years. But seeing a person I trust so much there, it hurts a little. I'm handling it better now." Meanwhile, Alcaraz continues to lean on coach Sammy Lopez and brother Alvaro as he starts the Sunshine Double. For more quotes from the Ferrero interview, sign up for the 5-Setter newsletter. Link is in the show description. Megan has done a good write-up on it for you. All right, now moving on to set number 3, and it's all about Aryna Sabalenka. Just a quick reset for those that don't remember when she did this to her poor boyfriend at the Australian Open this year.
Thank you to my boyfriend. Hopefully soon I will call you somehow else, right? let's just put an extra pressure, right? Thank you everyone. I really enjoy being here. Thank you.
The world number one's boyfriend, now fiance, proposed this week with a ring for a queen, and the tennis world wasted no time celebrating. Even Novak Djokovic was spotted congratulating her on site at Indian Wells.
It's a different feeling of arriving to the tennis site today, right?
Super different.
Congrats, guys. Oh, wow. Congrats.
Thank you. How are you?
Now, the engagement wasn't the only life update for Aryna. She introduced a brand new member to the team, a puppy named Ash, named after tennis legend Arthur Ashe. Between the engagement, the new dog, and arriving in Indian Wells as the top seed, the vibes around Team Sabalenka are pretty high right now. Hopefully she can carry that momentum into a possible first-time Indian Wells title. Speaking of Novak, the GOAT is making more moves off the court this week. Novak Djokovic has announced a new line of recovery sleeves with the brand Incrediwear, and he's not just endorsing the product. The 24-time Grand Slam champion has taken a significant ownership stake in the company, making him both an investor and brand ambassador. Djokovic says he started using the sleeve after his knee surgery in 2024 and credits the technology with helping speed up his recovery process. At a press conference this week, Novak explained how the product works, saying, quote, "They have Nano-Technology and it's doing great wonders, speeding up the anti-inflammatory processes and recovery in the cells, the muscles, everything that inflames during physical activity for us athletes particularly, but not only athletes. It's super important." Incrediwear CEO Jackson Corley praised the partnership in a statement, saying, "Novak shares our belief that recovery is the foundation of performance, and we're proud to welcome him as both an investor and brand ambassador." Now that's great for the king, but also, before we move on, we may not have nanotechnology, we may not have anti-inflammatory muscle recovery, but Served does have socks. So after you grab your Incrediwear sleeves, head over to the Served merch shop and pick up a pair of socks that offer absolutely zero performance benefits, other than keeping your feet warm while you sit on the couch watching the first leg of the Sunshine Double this weekend. All right, guys, finally, enough pedaling, and now on to pickling. We head to the world of Major League Pickleball, where the 2026 draft has produced a truly eye-popping number. Top player Anna Bright was selected for $1.23 million. Yes, in pickleball, the highest draft figure in league history. Now, a little context here. Anna Leigh Waters, the young GOAT of pickleball, arguably the most dominant player in pickleball history, who holds 168 gold medals and 38 triple crowns. I'm not really sure what all that means. Was drafted in 2024 for about $340,000. So yes, that's quite a jump. But here's where things get a little confusing. In Major League Pickleball structure, that $1 million draft number doesn't actually go directly to the player. That money goes to the league, not the athlete, which means the economics behind these numbers are a little complicated. I'm not a financial advisor, and honestly, I'm still not entirely sure how that math works. But one thing is clear, the little racket sports are officially starting to play with big league money. All right, guys, and that does it, and that means it's time for our tie-break trivia. This week's question, calling back to Sabalenka's dog, which iconic WTA player famously named her dog after Pete Sampras? Sign up for the 5-Setter newsletter to find your answer, and while you're at it, check out more from the Juan Carlos Ferrero interview, along with the headlines that didn't make the show this week, including a disturbing threat directed at a player at Indian Wells and her response. For the full breakdown, head to servepodcast.com or find us on Substack. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube or follow us on your favorite podcast platform. A big thanks for the team for pulling this together. Thank you for Techie Sean for staying late and help me get through the pronunciations of so many names. This has been a production of Served Media. See you chuckers next Tuesday.